Alright, so before the video gets started, if you want to skip everything that I'm going to say in like the next 6 or 7 minutes, just skip ahead to about the 6:45, 7-minute mark. I was just talking about how I decided to start the series and other random stuff that I was dealing with, as most of you guys have been with the virus and stuff. So yeah, just skip ahead to about 7 minutes and you should get the review around there. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to whatever this channel has turned into. I have no idea, and we're restarting again, or not restarting. I'm just introducing something different once again to this channel, and who knows if it'll stick, but we'll go through it. So, I was on Reddit, like most of you probably do in the wrestling community. I was on Reddit, and a question actually came up, and it was asking if anybody had ever, or if anybody knew of any podcasters or YouTubers or anybody in the wrestling community who had done recaps for old school Raws and SmackDowns. And it got me to think, has there actually been anybody that's done that? Now, I listened to a couple of podcasts here and there that will recap an old school episode of WWE, but they'll do an episode here or there. They won't stay consistent with it. For example, they'll record the first ever episode. They'll recap, they'll review the first ever episode, and then they'll move on to the year 1998 and review an episode from there. And then they'll go into 2007, review something from there. Go back into 1995, review something from there. But I don't think anybody has ever done a full, consistently from the beginning episode of Raw, which I'm going to be reviewing here today, January 11th of 1983, and then going in order every single week and reviewing each episode. All of them are on the WWE Network, so I don't know why nobody has really done it. If there is somebody who has, let me know. I'll probably just stop doing what I'm doing right now. Probably won't, because I'm probably the best at it. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, so I was looking on YouTube, and maybe one or two people have, tried it. But still, I haven't seen anybody that's gone a, a ton of, or that have actually reviewed a lot of the years. You'll see, maybe they'll start in 1993, they'll go for a little bit, and then they'll stop. And then you haven't seen anything from them in a couple months at a time. So, I know I'm the most inconsistent person ever. And who knows when this coronavirus stuff is going to stop. I have time on my hands. I can record a couple and put them out, put out these reviews. Not, I'll put them out sporadically. I won't put them out, I won't put out like 3 reviews out in one day. I'll try to space them out just so I have enough saved up. Once I get back to work, I still can be able to put out stuff and at the same time have enough saved up, like in my, in my hard drive saved up, enough reviews saved up that I can still recap some later down the line and then have those saved up to put out. I just don't want to put out a lot at once and then stop and then become that inconsistent person that uploads a couple reviews here and there, and then it's the same reviews that everybody else does. They start with the beginning ones and then they stop for a couple months, come back to it here and there. So I don't know how I'm gonna space them out. I'm gonna see how many I can get done in a certain amount of time, and then go from there. So I have watched the first 2 episodes, and I've taken notes for both of them as of right now, and that's just been in like half a day. So I'm like I'm saying, most of you guys probably know what I'm going through. I have a lot of time on my hand right now. You don't know when this stuff is gonna. I haven't been given the call to come back to work. I should have freaking been doing this since March. I could have probably been in the year, what, like 2000 by now. But anyway, it is what it is. You gotta live with what you live with. And if this doesn't take off, like, I would think it should take off, I'll probably just stop anyways. But whatever. I have this time, and I saw the Reddit post, so I was like, why not? Let me give it a shot. Let's see if I can actually stay consistent with something. And this used to be a gaming channel. I was gonna go back to gaming. Um, I was gonna start playing just random GTA games and Rockstar games. I had Bully. I bought Bully for the first time. I have never finished it, and that was kind of going to be the basis around my uploading of gameplays. The fact that I haven't finished or played any of these games in a long time. I was going to do GTA 4, then go to San Andreas, then do Bully, then maybe The Last of Us. I just bought the remastered one, the first one. I haven't played Last of Us 2, and I got Last of Us 1, so I can get 2, but I wanted to play 1 so I can understand what was going on in 2. And maybe I was going to play some Red Dead, the first one that came out, and then obviously Red Dead 2. I was hoping to be able to, play those and then put them on the channel. But then it was just a thing with the setup that I have. I can't listen to the dialogue from the headset that I'm recording on, and then I would have to plug in a different headset. It was all big. I mean, I got some episodes out of the way, but I didn't want to keep going through that whole process of having to set up every little thing, connecting headphones here and there and whatever, and setting up the Elgato. So I was like, you know what? I can do this instead. It doesn't require that much work. I'm not saying I'm half-assing it or anything, but this is not as much work as recording gameplay for recording gameplay and recording the commentary over it and then uploading it and then editing it, making sure I don't have any dead spots in between. With this one, with me reviewing Monday Night Raw and stuff, I have all the notes taken down. It's basically just me reading back my notes and then putting up a picture here and there for the video itself on YouTube and just going off on that. Alright, so let's get started with the review of Monday Night Raw, the first ever episode, January 11th of 1993. We're going to start this one off with Sean Mooney welcoming us to Monday Night Raw. The way he said Monday was a little bit different back in the day, but whatever. Monday Night Raw. Bobby Heenan tries to come in, but is told he got replaced. He tries to buy a ticket, but they're all sold out. So that whole little beginning segment is just Bobby Heenan trying to get into the Manhattan Center, and Sean Mooney was just telling us how monumental this show was going to be. Tickets were sold out, everybody got in, and that's how hard it was to get into this new show of Monday Night Raw. So we go into the signature Raw, the whole song and everything. Going in, we have that iconic siren going off as Vince is welcoming us inside to the Manhattan Center with Randy Savage and Bobby Heenan's replacement, Rob Bartlett. Who? I have no idea who this guy is. I obviously wasn't born around this time. I was born in... Actually, I'm going to save that for myself. If you guys know who Rob Bartlett is, let me know. I think he was a comedian, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, he calls Yokozuna. I've always hated guys who pronounce the superstar's names wrong. Do your research if you're going to be on the show. I'd never understood why people mispronounced these wrestlers' names and why Vince or anybody didn't ever double check to make sure that they knew what they were going to say. Right? So moving on, we have Yokozuna, speaking of, taking on Koko B. Ware. And as we know, Yokozuna is Samoan, but they play it off as he is from Japan, saying that he was a former sumo champion or something like that. I think they said sumo champion or a sumo competitor, something like that. And Rob Bartlett keeps making jokes about his weight. Mr. Fuji was also in the corner of Yokozuna. He was greeted by some traditional Japanese, or you know what, I won't even say traditional because I don't know the culture. I'm not going to be ignorant like they were back in the day. They had some Japanese women. I hope they were Japanese women. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if they even were Japanese women, but they had some women come out, hand Yokozuna some flowers before the match, and then a whole big hoorah to introduce Yokozuna here on Raw. We get a nice shot of Yokozuna's ass, so thank you for that, Kevin Dunn. The entire match, Koko B. Ware is basically doing everything for Yokozuna. He's giving the offense, taking the offense, while Yokozuna is basically just standing in the same spot. Then later, after a leg drop and a splash into the corner by Yokozuna, he hits the bonsai drop for the win. You could tell he didn't hit it with that much force, but it is what it is. He hits it and he gets the win. Next up, a Royal Rumble preview came on next for 1993. I will not be doing pay-per-view recaps, at least for right now. I tried with, actually, if you go back, like, way back in my channel, I did a recap for Bad Blood 1997. Looking back on it now, and probably when I look back on this recap in a couple years, some bad dialogue by me. But yeah, for right now, I'm not going to be doing any pay-per-views, but they do have a Royal Rumble preview. And like always, anything can change. I might change my mind and do pay-per-view recasts, but whatever. We'll see what happens. We then cut to Bobby Heenan talking about a guy named Narcissist. Obviously, this you guys know who it was, but we'll take it one step at a time. Uh, I believe he was managing Mr. Perfect at the time, and then after Mr. Perfect left him, Bobby Heenan was going to bring in Narcissist to take out Mr. Perfect. Not Narcissist, Narcissus. That's how Bobby Heenan was pronouncing this guy's name. We'll see how that plays out. Like I said, we all know who it is, or actually, I don't know. I won't say most of us, but or all of us. I'll say most of us know who he came up, who he became, who he turned out to be. Jesus. We'll take debuts one step at a time here. Next up, we have the Steiner brothers taking on some jobber guys, and meanwhile, Doink is seen in the clown, or Doink is seen. Doink is seen in the crowd messing around. Wait, hold on. Doink the clown is seen around messing around. Oh Jesus! All right, actually, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Let me re-say that. Doink the clown is messing around in the crowd. We see a shot of him just messing around with some fans in the stands while this match is going on. Into the match though, Rick Steiner sends one of the executioner guys into the turnbuckle with a reverse powerbomb looking move. Scott comes in, gives one of the jobbers a belly to belly, both showing off some strength. Scott Steiner also hits an underhook powerbomb. Then they hit a move where Scott holds one guy up in an electric chair position, while Rick comes off the top rope with a bulldog for the win. I thought this was a good showcase for the Steiner brothers. They showcased some great moves here, so good little match for them. Bobby Heenan then tries to sneak into the building by dressing up as a woman, but Sean Mooney stops him. I don't know why Sean Mooney is still outside. They didn't. I guess they didn't have enough tickets for Sean Mooney either. But anybody else, this is a bad segment, but because it's Bobby Heenan, he pulls it off. So I'm not gonna complain too much about that. Razor Ramon then is interviewed by Vince McMahon in the ring for his upcoming match against Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble for the WWF Championship. Talks about how Razor Ramon caught Bret and how he's done in 8 months what it took Bret Hart to accomplish. So, meaning that Razor Ramon is in a title match in 8 months, as opposed to it taking 8 years for Bret Hart to become the WWE champion and all that, or the WWF champion at the time. So that was a nice line there. We also get footage of Razor Ramon attacking Owen Hart, and then he ends off. The promo ends with Razor Ramon telling Bret Hart that Bret can't do anything to stop him from taking his gold at the Royal Rumble. He then takes his toothpick and flicks it at Vince. You know, I probably put on this episode a handful of times, and I've never paid attention to what Razor Ramon actually said here, but it was actually pretty good. It's a pretty good promo. Max Moon then coming into the ring, taking on Shawn Michaels next. And there's a far shot of Max making his entrance because as he comes to the ring, he's got a flame shooter on his wrist and it fucks up and goes off where it's not supposed to. So on the network they edit it as to make it seem like nothing actually happened. But you can see that one of the flamethrower actually goes where it's supposed to and then the next one goes somewhere else. I can't tell if he hit anybody with it, but they do edit that out of the network. I think you can find it somewhere online, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So, start of the match, both showing off their athleticism. I don't know who Max Moon is under the mask. Let me know if you know, because I think he's actually someone who has a name in the business some way or another. Doink the Clown is seen at ringside again, and then Rob Bartlett pretends to be Mike Tyson, calling into commentary. Not funny at all. Shawn looks into the camera and says that this face has broken so many hearts. After he said that, I was like, you know what? Some might call this guy the Heartbreak Kid. Max Moon hits a move on the outside to Shawn. He gets him back in the ring, and then Max Moon delivers a spinning leg kick into the turnbuckle. Shawn actually hits the super kick then, but doesn't end the match. He then picks up Max Moon and hits him with an Olympic slam type suplex for the win. Some good action, but because it's Max Moon, who cares about this match really? Shawn, by the way, is the current Intercontinental Champion. Howard Finkel announced that he was still the champion after the match, so I guess that match was for the title. They do another Royal Rumble preview. They just announced some of the matches taking place and the announced participants for the Rumble match. Let me go ahead and name them all right now. No, I'm just kidding. Moving on, Mooney back outside stops a man of a Jewish stereotype while other people are seen in line trying to buy tickets for the next episode of Raw. But obviously the guy dressed up is Bobby Heenan again trying to get in. Mooney stops him again, so then Bobby Heenan is like, you know what? I'll just go to the roof to try to get in. I don't know how he got to the roof, or how the roof was gonna actually get him into the building, but whatever. Moving on, Vince and the gang, talking about commentary, him, Randy Savage, and Rob Bartlett. They screw up the Raw, Uncooked. I messed it up right there. The tagline, Raw, Uncut, Uncooked, and Uncensored. So they messed that up. That was a little bit of a funny thing that I took out of this episode. I always remember this when I go back and watch this episode, that when they screw that up. And they're like, you know what, let's redo it. Vince wanted to get that tagline across so bad. Speaking of Vince, he never looks like the type of guy that you hear with all these stories about him, these terrible stories about him. Whenever he's on TV, he always seems to be like the most understanding person. But that's just me, how I perceive Vince on TV. I never, every time I see him on TV, I'm like, this is really the guy that you hear all these stories about? But anyway, moving on. Kamala is then seen from a different show turning babyface on Kimchi and Harvey Whippleman. They try to do something to him, and I think Slick came out to try to protect him, but Kimchi attacked Slick, and then Kamala wasn't having any of it, so he attacked Kimchi and Harvey. Not sure if this is ever gonna get visited again on Raw. We'll keep an eye on it though. Moving on to the final match, Damian Demento versus The Undertaker. During the match, Taker hits the old school move, but they don't call it anything. Flying clothesline, then a tombstone power-driver for the quick win. Taker signals for the chokeslam, but then Paul Bearer grabs him from his hair and pulls him away. So funny to see that Paul Bearer just pulls The Undertaker, pulls Mark Calloway, a guy like Mark Calloway, by his hair, and just, Undertaker probably didn't do anything about it. Backstage, he probably didn't even care. He was like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. Paul Bearer pulled me by my hair, I don't care. But it's just funny to see that visual of somebody pulling Taker by his hair and then Taker just taking it. So then we have Doink the Clown getting interviewed about what Crush had warned him about, which was to not make kids cry. Crush then comes out with a thick accent and threatens Doink some more. Brada. Doink gets chased around the ring, but nothing happens. Then it cuts to Bobby Heenan being let in from the roof, but of course the show is over and he's basically getting into nothing. Alright, let's give some awards for this history-making show, as they probably would cram down your throat if this was happening today. I'm going to do, for right now, I have 6 awards that I'm going to be giving out for these shows. If you have any award suggestions for me, leave them down in the comments. But right now, we're going to be going through best moment, best and worst match, the wackest performer, meaning they were trash or they had no business being out there, and then the standout performer, and then back to the wackest performer, just somebody that I didn't find interesting at all. It could be a guy with a name that just had an off night. You know what I mean? Alright, so best moment, I had Racer Ramon flicking the toothpick at Vince McMahon and just his overall promo. I thought it was the best segment on the show. Worst moment, obviously Doink the Clown and Crush, whatever they were doing. And whenever we would just cut to Doink the Clown in the crowd, messing around doing his shtick. Best match, I had Shawn Michaels versus Max Moon. I thought they both really showcased some of their best athleticism in that match. So best match goes to Shawn and Max. Worst match though goes to Yokozuna and Koko Beware. It was just to showcase Yokozuna, and he really has no type of offense in there. I could have given it to Taker versus Damian Demento. I already forgot his name. But it was a quicker match than the Yokozuna one. So worst match, Yokozuna and Coco Beware. Sorry, Coco, and I guess sorry, Yoko. I don't know. But anyway, moving on to the wackest performer, Damian Demento. This is where I'm going to give Damian Demento that. He is the first ever recipient of the wackest performer award. I just didn't. What is he? What is this guy supposed to be? And he had no sort of offense against the Undertaker. So what were they really trying to build with this guy? Have no idea. Let me know if you know. And then standout performer, in this case performers. I really like the Steiner brothers and what they did in their match against the Jobbers. Even though it was a Jobber match, they really showcased. They really had some great moves in that match. For this episode, if you got some time, go take a look at the first ever Raw. Never a bad time when you can check out the first of anything on TV, even if it's a train wreck. You get to experience why it succeeded or why it failed. In this case, how great Raw became in the next couple of years, and then eventually how it's gotten back to the crap product that has become today. But yeah, if you got any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll try to get some whenever I get to them. Since this is the first one, I'm going to be recording a ton at a time, like I said. And whenever you're seeing this one, I might already be recording the review for episodes in 1995. But leave some comments and stay tuned, because you never know. I might read them on any random episode. Also, I'm going to be getting a better microphone. I'll be more inclined to getting one sooner rather than later, though, if these reviews get good reviews, if that makes any sense. But with that out of the way, that does it for this episode. I'll catch y'all next time.